Most people reheat their leftovers every single day without thinking twice. But here's what nobody is telling you. There are exactly 10 common foods sitting in your refrigerator right now, foods you've eaten your entire life, that become genuinely dangerous the moment you put them back in the microwave or on the stove. And we're not talking about food that just tastes a little off. We're talking about foods that can trigger toxic spore growth, form cancer-linked compounds, feed harmful bacteria, and silently damage your digestive system, all while looking and smelling completely normal. A food safety analysis. Reviewing data from over 40,000 reported foodborne illness cases found that a shocking percentage of them traced back not to restaurants, not to expired food, but to improperly reheated leftovers made at home. In today's video, we're going to reveal all 10 foods you should never reheat, ranked from the mildest offenders to the most dangerous, and exactly what you should do instead. Stay until the end, because number 2 on this list is something almost every household reheats constantly. And the science behind why it's so dangerous will genuinely change how you handle your kitchen forever. Number 10. Cheese. Let's start with one of the most beloved foods on the planet, cheese. You've done it before. You had leftover pizza, a cheesy pasta dish, or a grilled cheese sandwich, and you popped it back in the microwave the next day. Here's the problem. Cheese is a fat-dense food, and when you reheat it, the fat structure breaks down rapidly and unevenly. What you're left with is a greasy, oily, separated mess that has lost its texture, its flavor, and a significant portion of its nutritional value. But beyond the texture issue, reheating cheese, especially soft cheeses, can encourage bacterial growth if it wasn't stored properly. And the high fat content means it heats unevenly, creating hot spots that can burn your mouth while other parts remain cold enough to harbor bacteria. What to do instead? Enjoy cheese at room temperature, or add it fresh on top of a warm dish right before serving. Let the heat of the food melt it naturally. That's how professional chefs do it, and your body will thank you. Number 9. Corn. Most people don't think twice about reheating corn, whether it's on the cob, off the cob, or mixed into a dish. But here's what's actually happening when you do. Corn is a starchy vegetable with a delicate cellular structure. When you reheat it, especially in a microwave, the moisture inside the kernels evaporates rapidly, causing the corn to become tough, rubbery, and significantly less sweet. More importantly, the natural sugars in corn begin converting to starch at an accelerated rate once the corn has already been cooked and cooled. Reheating speeds up this conversion even further, stripping away the nutritional value and leaving you with a food that is harder to digest and far less beneficial than it was fresh. What to do instead? If you have leftover corn, eat it cold in a salad or add it directly to a warm dish at the very last moment, just enough to bring it to temperature without cooking it again. Number 8. Pasta. Pasta is one of the most commonly reheated foods in the world, and most people assume it's completely safe. But here's the truth. When pasta is cooked and then cooled, its starch structure changes, a process called retrogradation. This actually makes cold pasta slightly better for your blood sugar than freshly cooked pasta. But the moment you reheat it, you reverse that benefit and create a stickier, higher glycemic food that spikes your blood sugar faster. Beyond the glycemic issue, pasta reheated in a microwave loses moisture unevenly, creating a gummy, clumped texture that is far less digestible. And if your pasta dish contains a cream or egg-based sauce, reheating it introduces a whole new set of risks, including bacterial growth and protein breakdown that can cause digestive discomfort. What to do instead? If you must reheat pasta, do it slowly on the stovetop with a splash of water or broth to restore moisture. Never microwave cream-based pasta dishes. And if possible, store the pasta and sauce separately so you can reheat them properly. Number 7. Seafood. This one is critical, and it's one of the most dangerous mistakes people make in the kitchen. Seafood, shrimp, fish, crab, lobster, is one of the most protein-dense foods you can eat. But protein-rich foods are also the most vulnerable to bacterial contamination. When seafood is cooked and then cooled, bacteria can begin multiplying within just 2 hours at room temperature. When you reheat it, you may not bring the internal temperature high enough to kill all of those bacteria, especially in a microwave, where heat distribution is wildly uneven. The result? Digestive distress, nausea, vomiting, and in severe cases, serious foodborne illness. Beyond the safety issue, reheating seafood destroys its delicate texture and releases compounds that create that strong, unpleasant, fishy smell, which is actually a sign of protein breakdown happening in real time. What to do instead? Eat seafood fresh. If you have leftovers, enjoy them cold. Cold shrimp on a salad, cold salmon on crackers. If you absolutely must reheat fish, do it in an oven at a low temperature, covered with foil, and only until just warmed through. Before we continue, if this information is already surprising you, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and tap the notification bell. We release science-backed health and nutrition content that could genuinely protect your health. Now let's keep going, because the next 6 foods get significantly more dangerous. Number 6. Spinach. Here's where things get genuinely alarming, and this is the one that surprises people the most. Spinach is one of the healthiest foods on earth. It's loaded with iron, folate, and antioxidants. But spinach is also naturally high in nitrates. When spinach is cooked, those nitrates begin converting. When you reheat it a second time, the heat triggers a chemical reaction that converts those nitrates into nitrites, and in some conditions, into nitrosamines, which are compounds that have been linked to increased cancer risk in multiple peer-reviewed studies. This is not a fringe theory. This is established food chemistry. The European Food Safety Authority has specifically flagged the reheating of nitrate-rich vegetables, including spinach, as a food safety concern, particularly for young children and older adults. What to do instead? Cook only as much spinach as you plan to eat in one sitting. If you have leftover cooked spinach, eat it cold or at room temperature. Do not reheat it. And never reheat spinach more than once under any circumstances. Number 5. Mushrooms. Mushrooms are one of the most nutritionally complex foods in the plant kingdom. They're loaded with protein, B vitamins, and powerful antioxidants. But they're also one of the most sensitive foods when it comes to reheating. Here's why. Mushrooms contain proteins and enzymes that begin breaking down almost immediately after cooking. When you reheat them, those proteins degrade further, and the breakdown products can cause digestive upset, bloating, and stomach discomfort in many people. More critically, mushrooms that have been stored improperly and then reheated can harbor bacteria that survive at temperatures that feel hot to the touch but aren't actually high enough to neutralize the threat. The European Food Safety Authority recommends eating mushrooms immediately after cooking, and not storing cooked mushrooms for reheating at all. What to do instead? Cook mushrooms fresh each time. They take less than 5 minutes in a pan. If you have leftovers, add them cold to salads or sandwiches rather than reheating them. Number 4. Potatoes. This one shocks almost everyone. Potatoes are one of the most reheated foods in the world. Baked potatoes, mashed potatoes, roasted potatoes. People reheat them constantly. But here's the danger that nobody talks about. When cooked potatoes are left to cool at room temperature, especially if they're wrapped in foil, they create the perfect anaerobic environment for Clostridium botulinum, the bacteria responsible for botulism, to grow. Botulism is one of the most serious foodborne illnesses known to medicine, and reheating those potatoes does not necessarily kill the toxins that have already been produced. Beyond the botulism risk, reheated potatoes, especially mashed potatoes, undergo starch retrogradation similar to pasta, which increases their glycemic impact and makes them harder for your body to process efficiently. What to do instead? Never leave cooked potatoes wrapped in foil at room temperature. Refrigerate them within 2 hours of cooking. And if you do reheat them, do it thoroughly, all the way through, at a high enough temperature to be safe. Number 3. Eggs. Eggs are one of the most popular foods on the planet, and one of the most dangerous to reheat. Here's what's happening at a molecular level. Eggs are almost entirely protein, and protein is extraordinarily sensitive to heat. When you cook an egg, the proteins denature and set. When you reheat that egg, those proteins denature a second time, becoming rubbery, tough, and significantly harder for your digestive system to break down. But the real danger goes beyond texture. Eggs that have been cooked, cooled, and then reheated, especially in a microwave, can develop hot spots where the temperature spikes dramatically. This can cause the egg to literally explode in the microwave. But more importantly, uneven heating means parts of the egg may not reach a safe temperature, leaving bacteria alive and active. Scrambled eggs and omelets are particularly risky because they have a large surface area and cool quickly, giving bacteria more opportunity to multiply before reheating. What to do instead? Cook eggs fresh. They take 2 minutes. If you have leftover hard-boiled eggs, eat them cold. They're perfectly safe and nutritious that way. Never microwave a whole egg in its shell under any circumstances. Number 2. Rice. Stop reheating your rice. I know that sounds extreme. Rice is a staple food for billions of people around the world. But the science here is so clear and so alarming that once you understand it, you will never look at leftover rice the same way again. Here's what's happening. Uncooked rice contains spores of a bacteria called Bacillus cereus. Cooking the rice does not kill these spores. When cooked rice is left to cool, especially at room temperature, those spores germinate and the bacteria multiply rapidly, producing toxins. Here's the critical part. Reheating the rice kills the bacteria, but it does not destroy the toxins they've already produced. Those toxins survive the heat, and when you eat that rice, those toxins enter your digestive system and can cause severe vomiting and diarrhea within 1 to 5 hours. The UK's National Health Service specifically warns against reheating rice more than once and advises that cooked rice should never be left at room temperature for more than 1 hour. What to do instead? Cook only as much rice as you need. If you have leftovers, refrigerate them immediately, within 1 hour of cooking, and consume them within 24 hours. If you do reheat rice, make sure it is steaming hot all the way through, and never reheat it more than once. Number 1. Chicken. If you take nothing else away from this video, let it be this. Chicken is the single most dangerous food to reheat, and it is also the most commonly reheated protein in the world. Here's why it's so dangerous. Chicken is dense, high in protein, and cooks unevenly even the first time. When you reheat chicken, especially in a microwave, the outside heats rapidly, while the inside may remain at a temperature that is warm enough to feel safe, but cold enough to allow bacteria like Salmonella and Campylobacter to survive and thrive. These are not minor bacteria. Salmonella alone is responsible for over 1 million foodborne illnesses in the United States every single year. But here's what makes chicken uniquely dangerous compared to other proteins. The protein structure in chicken changes dramatically when reheated. The proteins break down into smaller compounds that are not only harder to digest, but that can actually trigger inflammatory responses in the gut, particularly in older adults and people with sensitive digestive systems. A study published in the Journal of Food Protection found that improperly reheated poultry was one of the leading causes of foodborne illness outbreaks in domestic settings. What to do instead? If you must reheat chicken, do it in an oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, covered with foil and a splash of broth to retain moisture, until the internal temperature reaches 165 degrees Fahrenheit throughout, verified with a food thermometer. Never reheat chicken in a microwave, and never reheat it more than once. So, there you have it. 10 foods that most people reheat every single day, without realizing the very real risks they're taking with their health. The good news? Every single one of these risks is completely avoidable. And the first step is simply knowing what you're dealing with, which you now do. Now, if today's video got you thinking more seriously about what you're putting into your body, not just how you reheat it, but what you're actually eating to fuel your health, I want to share something that has genuinely helped thousands of people make that shift. It's called the Smart Weight Loss Cookbook Bundle, and it includes over 300 delicious, easy-to-make recipes across 3 of the world's most effective eating styles: vegan, Mediterranean, and keto. Every recipe is designed to be quick, most under 30 minutes, budget-friendly, and beginner-friendly. No complicated techniques, no exotic ingredients, no guesswork. It's not a diet. It's a practical, real-life system for eating food that actually works for your body. The link is in the description below. Check it out when you're done here. And if this video opened your eyes to something you didn't know before, Please hit that subscribe button right now and tap the notification bell so you never miss a video. We put out science-backed health and nutrition content every single week, and the next video might be the one that changes everything for you. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe in that kitchen, and we'll see you in the next one.